edition of the Smart Office podcast host, Hippolyte Assa. I'm an AI implementation engineer and an expert in implementing AI, helping businesses use practical AI systems to improve operations, client experience, and growth. Today, I'm excited, super excited to welcome Aubrey Fitzloff. Aubrey, welcome to the Smart Office podcast. It's an honor to welcome you. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. It's Monday and we're ready to rock and roll around here.
Great. Okay, Aubrey, for those meeting you for the first time, can you introduce yourself and tell us what Lifetime Insurance does, or a little bit about yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Lifetime Insurance Agency is a well-established brokerage agency based out of South Carolina. My team and I help families and businesses figure out their benefit solutions, and we work all across North and South Carolina. I personally have been in the industry for almost 20 years, and the rest of my team collectively has almost a dozen years of experience. And we are just excited to help Carolina families figure their insurance benefits out. And we work on the personal side of things. You mentioned most of the products already that we sell. We do a lot of work in the small business space as well.
Long. I mean, that's a long career path in insurance. What inspired you to build a career in insurance?
Well, that is a God thing. It wasn't my idea to be in insurance at all. And in fact, when I was coming out of college and working with an employment agency to help me figure out what my next move was, insurance was the one industry that I said I was not willing to work in because I was young and ignorant and thought that would mean being stuck in a cubicle all day with no windows and denying claims. And that was personally my idea of hell, and still is. But obviously, since then, I've learned that there's a lot of aspects to insurance that don't just involve sitting in a cubicle. And one of the things that I learned after my rep convinced me to take the interview with the agency was that really it's about solving problems and helping people. And that is something I do enjoy doing. So I got licensed and worked my way up through the company and eventually bought the owner out when he wanted to retire.
Wow, that's good. I mean, and you've been there now for 20 plus years. Like, what? You never think like when you're sometimes young, you feel like you know everything, you know what you're going to get into, like everything mapped out. You're 18, 19, 20, 22. Like, I know where I'm going to go. And then things happen, they realize, oh, it's a new wide world there. I need to figure things out.
Yeah. Life today looks a little different from what 24-year-old Aubrey thought it would look like, but that's okay. She was allowed to do the best she had with what she knew at the time.
Exactly. So typically, what type of clients do you guys or your team serve most often?
Sure. So the agency itself was originally founded and specialized in long-term care insurance. So we have a lot of long-term care clients that have been with us for 20 plus years. And then these days we do a lot of work in the health insurance space. We work with a lot of small business owners figuring out whether or not they want to offer group health insurance benefits or if we just want to work with their employees directly to do individual health. We also are well known for our knowledge in the Medicare space. That was the area that I specialized in when I first started 20 years ago. I've obviously branched out a little bit since then. And so we do get a lot of referrals from professionals such as real estate agents, CPAs, other financial planners of people who are getting ready to turn 65 and they need help navigating the Medicare process. And we all like to sell a little life insurance now and then, but we're really well known for the health and Medicare space.
Wow, that's good. Well, given your long experience in the industry, certainly you may have some interesting stories. Like, what is like one client story or two client stories, professional wins, experiences that probably stand out for you that you want to share to our listeners? They may be interested or something that may pull them into the insurance industry like you did.
Well, I don't know if I have any specific story jumping to mind off the top of my head. I kind of chuckle at how much the technology has changed just in the 20 years that I've been doing this. When I started, we had literal paper rate books, and they would send us CD-ROMs every quarter with the new updated premiums. And now, of course, click of a couple of buttons and you can pull premiums. Pretty much if the internet goes down, we can't do a whole lot around the office. So anybody who's considering a career in any type of sales, I really just have to share with you that you have to learn to innovate and adapt as things change because they're certainly going to change.
Was there any maybe specific professional win or experience or something maybe that may stand
Sure.
out
Well, I mean,
in your
we're
end?
pretty proud that last year we won a couple of awards. Our agency was
Right,
recognized as a regional best insurance agency in South Carolina. We
right,
have won a couple of local awards for our customer service, and our local chamber recognized us as the small business of the quarter in quarter
right,
four of 2025. So mostly, though, I credit my team for that. They are very, very good at taking care of our clients and building relationships, which is
right,
my way of approaching business. Is if you take care of the relationship, you take care of the client, then the money takes care of itself. I
right.
will chuckle though, because lately I've been getting a lot of questions about Medicare claims. I think things are just
Yeah.
a little uneasy as they make a lot of changes federally to that. Not so long ago, I talked to a client and didn't know what she was going to do. Her husband had an emergency room visit and they had to transport him by ambulance almost 60 miles, and she got a $40,000 bill. At the end of the
Wow.
day, two phone calls, all it was a simple, they didn't have the right card on file, two phone calls,
I see.
and that $47,000 bill turned into zero.
Just disappeared like that.
The value of working with a broker who knows
Wow.
what they're doing,
Wow.
which that wasn't a
For
terribly
seven.
complicated situation. She just didn't
Exactly.
know which way to handle it.
But that's why you're there, right? So what made that situation so meaningful to you?
Well, for one, her husband was the one who had always handled the financial decisions. And as
Right.
his health has
Hmm.
changed a little bit, she's had to step into that role. And so she felt I speak to her fairly regularly, I think more so just because she wants the reassurance, not because she's having problems with her coverage. But she was very panicky at the time. I would be a little panicked too if I got a bill that
Right.
said that amount. You work
Right.
hard all your life, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you're looking at that sort of debt. But being able to say, hey, let's just call and make sure that they have the correct ID number on file and
Right.
taking care of that within 2 or 3 minutes, it feels good to know that it is that simple on my end. And it feels
Right.
good to know that we can take that worry off of our client's shoulders.
So if I may ask, what would be at stake for a family, for somebody who doesn't maybe have the right broker in place or the right client, or who doesn't know what would be at stake here? You see, given the
I mean,
situation for the
statistically
family.
speaking, medical debt
Yeah.
is one of the top reasons that families are declaring bankruptcy. So
Right.
when you're not working with someone who understands your health insurance benefits or understands your needs, if they're not explaining network situations or helping you select a plan that's going to either cover your doctors or your medications, it is very easy
Right.
for that to turn into a situation that's very frustrating and oftentimes very expensive. Both in North and
Right.
South Carolina, there are plans that are like regional HMOs where if you go outside of that
Hmm.
network, if it's not an emergency, they're not going to pay. And so if you are just
Right.
selecting, particularly for people who maybe just are jumping onto healthcare.gov themselves, if they're just selecting the lowest premium plan and they're not taking the time to explore the networks, they could either cost themselves a lot of money or cost themselves a lot of time having to switch providers. So
Wow.
it's and these networks can change from year to year depending on the company. We prefer to
Right.
focus on companies that have strong network stability, but in certain counties, rural counties, that's not always an option. So that is,
Right.
in my opinion, where having the education and the experience of
Mhm.
years, not somebody who's just started doing this because they've heard it's an easy way to build a sales book, that can make a big difference.
In this situation, how do they write insurance guidance? How can it change the outcome? Let's say you have the right guidance. How would that change the outcome?
I mean, we could go back to the example of my client a few minutes ago where her policy
Right.
absolutely was going to cover that Medicare or that ambulance ride.
Right.
She just didn't know that it hadn't been filed correctly. $40,000, I mean, if you have that kind of debt hanging out there, that can limit a lot of your choices. In their situation, they're a
Exactly.
little older, they're established, so they're not looking to go get a mortgage or anything like that. If it's somebody who's
Right.
a little younger, that could have, having that type of debt filed
Yeah.
against you and not resolving it, we all know that could affect the
Yeah.
ability to get a car loan, get a mortgage, even just
Right.
simple things like increasing your insurance rates on your auto side of things. And I don't do auto insurance, so
Exactly.
I'll stay in my lane. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you
But I
don't
mean, if
have
you
the
have a
right
bankruptcy
guidance or
situation, it's
even
going to
just have the
reflect.
right support, even if you have the right coverages, if you don't have the right support, it can
Yeah.
really become quite frustrating and costly.
So, in hindsight, what is the biggest lesson you would share with people who are confused about insurance in
If you're
general? Like, what
confused,
is it? A support?
find yourself
Is
a
it the
local
type of
broker to
insurance?
work with. Find
Okay,
yourself a local broker to work
makes
with.
sense.
Look at their Google reviews, look at their website, take the time to interview them as much as,
Right.
you would want to.
Mhm.
There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of information on ChatGTP about insurance, but really the nuances
Right.
of knowing the difference between this plan versus that plan or this network versus that network,
Mhm.
that's what a broker's job is to do, is to help you navigate that. And it doesn't
Right.
cost you anything extra. I get paid a
Mhm.
commission on the policies that I sell. So basically, I get
Right.
paid to provide you customer service. You don't pay anything extra to work with an Aubrey. You pay the same premium as you
Right.
would if you went directly to healthcare.gov and bought the policy. So why not take
Right.
advantage of the fact that you can have another support system in your corner?
That's right. So, what do people often misunderstand about insurance, for example? So, let's
I
say
think
in
just
general, yeah, about insurance.
basic vocabulary, honestly. There's
Right.
still just
Yeah.
a lot of confusion about the difference between a copay and your deductible,
Mhm.
or even what your premium is, like what you actually pay to have the coverage versus what you pay when you go to use the coverage. There's just a lot of basic education that people, if they don't understand those terms, then they feel, I guess, intimidated about trying to use their
Right.
coverage, And so having just somebody who can sit down and say, okay, this is what you pay when you go to the doctor. This is what you pay when you go to the pharmacy. And if God forbid you have that fall down a flight of stairs and wind up in the hospital and need surgery type of claim, here's the total that you would have to pay.
Right.
Making that easy to understand gives more peace of mind than having to understand every single line item of the policy. And I think it's the same way across any types of products. I don't
Right.
know every detail of my renter's policy or my business liability
Exactly.
policy.
Yeah.
I have a broker I call for those questions. I don't
Of
try to be
course.
an expert in what I don't do.
Expert.
I go find
Right.
an expert to help me.
Mhm. Makes sense. Makes sense. So
Mhm.
so what should people avoid doing when choosing coverage, or maybe what would be the right questions to ask before making that decision? Let's say,
I think
is it broker?
having an understanding of what you need as far as your access is. So if you know you're taking medications and you're regularly seeing a provider, even though in the health insurance space, there's no longer any pre-existing condition look back or exclusion, there's no longer any health underwriting.
Right.
Sharing that information with the agent or broker who's helping you select a plan makes it easier for them to steer you in the right direction. It's really
Right.
difficult if I work with you during open enrollment and then you call me in March when open enrollment is over and you say,
Right.
hey, my medication isn't covered. Now, I ask those questions, but if you don't share that information with me, I can't solve a problem I don't know about.
Right. Right. Okay.
Really being able to
Makes
trust
sense.
your agent and talk to them about what you need it to do is a big thing. We see that also
Right.
in the life insurance space. Like, people don't want to tell me about a certain health concern because they're worried it's going to affect their outcome, but I don't want to sell you a
Right.
product that I know you can't pass underwriting for. That's a waste of your time.
Exactly.
That's a waste of my
Right.
time. That's a waste of insurance companies' resources. So being upfront about that
That makes sense.
information allows us to go explore the options. And that's part of the benefit of working with a broker, because a broker is going to work with more than one
Right.
insurance company. So we can go look at all the solutions and boil it down and come back with 2 or 3 options for you if there are 2 or 3 available. And then that you don't have to spend your afternoon on the phone calling insurance company after insurance company trying to figure out which one is the best fit for you.
Oh, that makes
But it does
a lot
require
of
trust
sense.
and
I mean,
conversation.
our clients are certainly going to follow your advice. But let's say in the insurance can feel sometimes overwhelming for many people. How do you feel like confident that I'm making an informed decision and be informed? Like, how do you help them?
Yeah, so for us, it comes to having really good relationships with our insurance carriers.
Right.
So especially in the Medicare space, that's an area that obviously is growing rapidly as far as the insurance world goes. We've got 10,000 baby
Right.
boomers turning 65 every day. They say it all the time. You can't
Exactly.
watch a television show without seeing an ad for a Medicare plan. In South Carolina right now, for example, there's 35 companies selling Medicare supplements. I am not going to show all 35
Okay.
companies to my clients. I'm going to show them the
That's right.
5 companies that have been most stable in their rate increases over the last 10 years. Those are the 5 we're going to look at because those are the 5 that I figure are still
Mhm.
going to be here in 10, 15, 20
Right.
years. And
Right.
so, in that situation, looking at who has been committed and stable within the market has been really
Mhm.
important to me. Now, that's not to say I won't sell a new insurance company, but I usually want to see they've
Right.
been in the state for 2 or 3 years.
For
I want to see that they have every hospital in the state in their network if they can.
Mhm.
Those are things that to me signal that they're committed to taking care of the population that I serve. So we approach new companies slowly because I don't think my clients should be the ones that get to be the guinea pigs in the experiments.
Right. I'm guessing they have to trust you at what point, at one point they may have to trust you, trust what you're saying, because nobody goes through all this, as we said before, all these fine prints, right? So what separates a trusted insurance advisor like you from someone who is like simply selling a policy? Like, how do you build that trust to say, trust me, this is what I'm giving
Sure.
you?
I mean, I do a lot of what we're doing right now. I just talk frankly and
Right.
tell you my honest opinion. My
Right.
clients, if they want to know more about me, that like I am friends with some of my clients on social media, we connect on LinkedIn. I want them to see that I'm a real person. My agency is very active within the community. I mentioned we had won an award from the chamber. That doesn't come just from sitting in our office. That comes from being out, being active within the community. So for me, the trust, my opinion is that people trust me because they know that I'm sticking around and they know that I'm going to continue to show up. And I do make mistakes. And when I make mistakes, I'm the first one to say I'm sorry. And how can I make it right?
Right. Yeah.
So that,
That builds
if
trust for
if
sure.
we if we miss the bullseye on something, we do our best to take care of it and get it corrected. Sometimes that means that I write a check to fix something.
Yeah. Oh,
Fortunately,
that's
knock
good.
on wood, that
That's
happens very, very rarely because,
okay.
and they answer the phone.
I mean, everybody want to check. I'm sure they are listening to you now and say, oh, we didn't know everyone's giving out checks.
Well, she doesn't very often, but every once in a while, as an example, one of my team members, he advised somebody not to purchase a product and he talked to me about it and
Yeah.
I agreed with him at the time and it was a vision plan and the client went and had a vision visit without insurance and came back and said, "Hey, I had my vision doctor run these numbers as if I had bought that policy and I paid about $300 more than I would have if I'd had it." And I said, I will reimburse you that. We didn't retain the client. He wanted to buy the policy and we
Bien.
told him not to.
I
Um,
see.
that
I
that
got
was
you.
our
Got you. I
mistake.
got you. Wow.
Like that is a rare
Okay.
circumstance, thank goodness.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
if it's
That's
something
better.
like
Okay.
that where it's very clear that we did something that was not correct for the client, one, admitting that we made a mistake, and two, doing our best to fix it is the correct way to do that, in my opinion, because everybody makes mistakes.
Wow.
Nobody can be
They make
100% accurate
mistakes.
all the time.
That's right. Oh, that's good.
Fortunately, fortunately, we don't
Yeah.
typically run into circumstances like that. We run into circumstances where we can fix it without it having to be a monetary situation. And yeah, and that's
Oh, that's
something
good.
I stress on my team is because my agents are a little newer. So if you don't know an answer, you don't bluff. You tell them I don't know and let me see if I can get an answer for you. And that builds
That's cool.
trust too.
Yeah. Now let's yeah, that's build trust. That's what I was saying. Like that's awesome
Mhm,
way to build trust among your clients and
mhm.
people you meet. Now let's switch to talk a little bit about your experience. I mean, that's a lot of experience, 20 plus years to been building this agency?
Right now, with our team growing, one of the things that we're working hard on is making sure that we have systems that work for us. The systems that worked when
Right.
I was the only producer within the agency, some of them we've
Exactly.
essentially stress tested and we've had to evolve them because what works for one agent doesn't necessarily work for a team of five. And I am hoping by the end of this month
Right.
that will be a team of five and not a team of four. So we
Right.
have had to invest more in technology, and we've had to invest more in marketing because while I am fortunate
Right.
enough to bring in enough referrals to keep my sales pipeline full just off of referral, that doesn't
Right.
necessarily work when you have newer agents. So we've really been working on
Exactly.
improving systems within the agency so that we can show up
Mm.
as the experts to our clients. And that's things around the office, like improving how we track our commissions, improving how we communicate with our clients, standardizing certain things of how we communicate with the clients. There's some things that I've gotten rather strict about. No, this is exactly how you send a welcome to the agency client. And then there's pieces of things that I try to step back and take my hands off of it and let my team grow and do it in the way that they want to do it because they're each individual agents that have different personalities and different skill sets than I do.
How long has that been a focus of yours? How long have
For
you?
about the last 3 years, pretty much since I brought another agent
Okay.
into the agency, I've had administrative help for several years, but about
Yes.
3 years ago was when my first agent team member came on, and so that was
Right.
about the point that I realized well, he looks at this very differently than the way I look at it. And we started working
Yeah.
on trying to make sure that there's certain pieces that are just the lifetime way, and then there's certain pieces that you can do the way you would do it.
So is that more about growth trials, follow up, client education, operations and productivity, or client experience? Like, or is it everything involved? Like, is there any area where you really specifically want to focus, or you take it step by step, or you want to just like it's referrals? I know you mentioned referrals. Follow up. I know you mentioned follow ups. Client, I don't know, operations or technology. Like, is there specific areas or everything
Yeah, it's
involved
twofold right
client
now because
experience?
I have a team of younger agents. There's definitely growth, growth processes and how they are growing their block and supporting them through that and teaching them how to appropriately sell versus what's not going to work, at least in my experience. And then as the company owner, then there's more,
Right.
investing in operations and the technology or equipment to make sure that they have the
Yeah.
resources that they need to take care of their clients.
That in it's good. What would success look like for like in the next 6 years for you? Like what you're doing, what would success? Do you have some goals like for lifetime
Sure, we
insurance?
have
What
some
would success
goals.
look like?
Yeah, we have some goals.
Do
I
you have
would
like
like to see
I need this number of new clients, I need this number of
no, it's not well,
technology
it's not
clients or
exactly
something?
that. It's not exactly that specific, but 2 years ago, I
Mhm.
qualified for a trip for the first time in my career. And it's the type of trip that
Wow.
any one of my team members could qualify for. So it's a bit of a pride goal, but I have a pride goal for the entire team to be at that producer's trip. I don't think that's going to happen for next year, but maybe the year after next, maybe the year after that, one of
Yeah.
my team members is going to deploy and he won't be able to work in the insurance industry while he's overseas. That's just a reality.
So,
That one, Uncle Sam might determine when we can meet that. We love our location, but we're renting and we have a goal to buy a building in
good.
the next 2 to 3 years. And that requires some
Good.
specific
Uh-huh.
income goals.
So,
Yeah, but then outside of insurance, I'm a pretty avid martial artist, and so I'm trying to get the agency to the
wow.
point where
That's good.
I can step back and start my own martial arts school in addition to running the agency.
Okay,
And
wow.
so that's less about money and more about creating time for or
Right.
reallocating time. You can't create time, but reallocating
Right.
time.
You can create time.
And so that's a systems thing. I really need my team to be
Yeah.
solid in order for me to take my
Yeah.
focus and put some of my focus there. If any of my clients are listening, I'm not going anywhere. I just have a passion project I want to
Anywhere.
pursue in addition to this.
Passion. Yeah. That's good. It's good to be driven by something and it
Mhm.
helps you become more productive. Like when you have a drive, a goal, like you're talking about martial arts. and with all that. I mean, they're like, okay, I've been in insurance. Maybe I should start a martial arts club or something like that. It's
The two
very
really align,
interesting
don't
and
they?
really, yeah, yeah. Wow, that's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm a
So let's talk
much
about,
nicer
I know,
person my my career for going and getting tossed around into the floor a couple times a week. And I know I'm a weirdo, but that's okay.
right? It's okay. It's great. I know you've been talking about systems, technologies, and things. I mean, over the many years you've been in the career in insurance, there've been a lot of changes in terms of technology. So, what do you see technology? How do you see technology helping insurance agencies the most today?
I mean, you're an expert in AI.
How do
Let's
you see
address that
technology helping?
elephant first. There's no doubt that
Exactly, exactly.
AI is affecting how the industry works. We use AI within our
Right,
agency. I'm not to the point where nor do I ever think we'll get to the point where we're going to do something like use a chatbot or use AI responders.
right,
Pride myself on the fact that our agency has grown based on relationship, and that means the people part of things needs to stay in there. But we
right.
definitely use the AI conveniences of scheduling and automations
Hmm.
and
Right,
frankly being able to put two specimen policies into a Gemini and say, can you compare the two parts, and let
right.
me know quickly, and then going back and checking the
Yeah,
work on something like that. But rather than me reading
right.
completely two
That's
40
it.
page policies that like 95% of them are going to be the same, using that sort of thing.
Exactly.
And I am well aware that like our insurance companies are using AI in the background too, whether we want them to or
Right.
not. Some of them are
Yeah,
using them for
yeah. You have to compare.
claims decisions on prior authorizations. One of the major carriers
Right.
that I sell said they're not doing that yet, but they are using it to monitor their
Hmm.
customer service calls and read essentially
Right.
the emotion of the customer. And if the same rep per se is having two or three calls in a shift where it seems as if the customer is not, it's not a good outcome, that they're using that to identify training
Right.
opportunities.
Right.
So
That
I
helps.
think I think that it's really important to um, just recognize that it's part of our industry. I don't think that it's the type of thing that we have to worry about. Oh, well, it's going to replace insurance agents or it's going to replace financial advisors.
For
There's
sure.
still a piece of just doing this
Yeah.
that you can't create technology
That
for.
human touch, that human connection. Yeah. Yeah. I know you've
But we
you've
definitely use, I mean, we're using it for commissions tracking now, and that's saving hours and hours of admin
mhm,
work so that
right.
my agents can,
Right.
instead of doing admin work, they can focus on taking care of clients or focus on taking care of the things outside of their career that they want to focus on. Because while it is a full-time job, it doesn't have to be a 40-hour a week job. So we're
Exactly.
trying to find ways to
Exactly.
help it supplement
You're
our
right.
our systems.
Right. So I know you've been through many technological changes over a couple of years, maybe last 20 years. Things have changed, transformed the way things operate. Like you mentioned at the beginning, paper clips, and now you're getting into certain technologies. Do you think AI can really help good advisors serve clients better? I know you just mentioned that you think
Do
can
I
help
think AI
serve clients better,
can
right?
help serve clients better?
Help
I mean,
good advisors serve better. Like just like you're saying, focus
sure.
the time
I
on
mean,
helping
if
clients
nothing
rather than
else,
the mundane
using it,
task.
yeah, using it more. Yes, I think AI can help advisors serve their clients better. Absolutely. I think that how that's going to look is going to be different from one agency to the next. I mentioned that we
To the
use
next, yeah.
it. I will use it sometimes to just quickly compare product and see one,
Okay.
if I am reading policies the way that I think that I am reading them. We definitely
Mhm.
use it for scheduling. We use it to identify clients that maybe need to be reached out to about,
Yeah.
okay, we've added a new baby to their health insurance policy. Maybe we need to have a life insurance conversation with them. That, like, taking some of that from the manual and automating some of that, where I am still cautious is that AI tools, some of them are changing so rapidly each day that of course
So
you have
fast,
to
you're right.
You have to make sure that you're
It's
taking
changing
the
fast.
appropriate steps to maintain HIPAA and security. And because the technology is
Exactly.
so new, there's still room for error. So we still
Yes,
I am very keen on making sure that if AI writes an email for me, that it gets read by human eyes and
exactly.
adjusted. One, so it sounds like us, but two, to make sure it's accurate. Because it's funny, I use
Yeah.
ChatGPT often just to write social media captions and things like that. Like, I don't
Right.
need to spend hours thinking about that. That's not a good use of my time.
Exactly. Thinking like
But it's often,
exactly,
every
exactly.
couple of weeks it'll try to slide in some auto insurance, and I have to go back. No, I don't do
Some
auto insurance. Don't talk about that.
right,
It's a
right,
little bit like having an intern. You have to double check its work some of it
right.
too.
Double check.
But yeah,
That's
I
what we
don't
say.
know any advisor that is really making a living out of this and has been doing it for a long time that isn't using a little AI. Some
Right.
of them are using it a lot, some of them are using it a little. I love a notes taker
Yeah.
as long as the HIPAA
Right.
aspect is there, because it's going to catch things
Right.
that I'm not going to catch because I'm talking. So it's going to give me
Exactly.
more accurate notes
That's
at the end of the day than me trying to handwrite them.
yeah, that's what we call in AI human in the loop. Like there's always going to be a human in the loop, right? Whatever thing it
Hmm.
is. So,
Hmm.
quick question: if you could remove one repetitive task, like some mundane task, repetitive task, I feel like if you take it out, it's going to help your advisors, your agents to do more work to help your team offload that weekly load of what will it be?
The one we're
If
searching
you
for
could,
right now is a really strong commissions tracking tool. We've tried a couple that are AI powered and haven't quite found the right solution yet. And some of that's the
yeah, you
aspect of
find it,
us being a broker, and some of that's the aspect of
right?
having multiple agents and the fact that we
Mhm.
sell across multiple product lines. That's the big one
Right.
that we're out looking at different technologies to
Mhm.
try to find the one that best fits our client, or not our
Yes.
clients, my agents' needs, to make sure that I
Right.
accurately pay them so that
Yeah.
I'm also not, paying for manual tracking.
Right.
That
Okay,
seems to
that makes
exist
sense.
in property and casualty world. Like Allstate has one, no problem.
Mhm.
It seems to be a little harder in the financial industry, but I have no doubt that it's out there. I just gotta keep turning rocks
It's
till I
out
find
there.
the right one.
Right. Yeah. It's just, okay. So for someone listening who feels overwhelmed by insurance decisions, what are the first steps they're going to take? Let's say
If somebody needs to buy insurance,
there's so much insurance talk around, like Medicare,
mhm,
Medicaid, and sometimes they don't know. And do they just call you? Like, especially when it comes to health insurance, call you,
mhm.
or what are the first steps do they need to do? They
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, pick up the phone, give me a call, tell me what it is that you think you want, and, I'll ask the questions that I need to be able to help provide
Mhm.
that product to you. But Medicare, especially long-term care, and even health insurance for the first time that somebody's buying it outside of their company, it's usually we're going to have either a face-to-face appointment or we're going to get on Zoom and we're going to do a little bit of education,
Yeah.
because I need to get to know more about your needs and you need to get to know a
Right.
little more about how the product works. And then
Right.
once we've had a little bit of education done, then we can start looking at actual plans and
Right.
actual premiums and start figuring out what works for your budget and your needs. But in the
That's it.
Medicare world, you could go down a Medicare supplement, you could do a Medicare Advantage. Those are two very different pathways. We got to know enough about more about what your desires are and what your needs are. And so we got to have a conversation. We got to build a little bit of a relationship to best figure
That
that
makes
piece of
sense.
things out. It's not a
Okay. Final
spreadsheet.
question. Yeah, it's not a
It's
spreadsheet for
never a
sure.
spreadsheet.
Final question to you, Aubrey. Like, what legacy? I know you mentioned martial arts. What legacy do you want lifetime insurance to build in the communities that you serve? Like, what's the legacy you want?
Yeah. For me right now, I think it's less about what is lifetime insurance's legacy as much as, now that I am growing a team of younger agents underneath me, knowing that if for some reason Lifetime as the agency or Aubrey as the agency head was not there, that they could stand on their own 2 feet in the industry. I really want them to have the
Right.
resources. Not that I want them to leave my company, but if they left my company, that
Right.
they would feel confident operating in the field that they chose to build their career in. So right now, I'm focusing very much on helping them learn how to do this and do this well.
Right.
So that if for some reason they need to move or for whatever reason they're just not with my company anymore, that if they want to stay in the insurance industry, they can do it and they can do it well. And I mean, if they stay in this area, people know who worked for who. So
Right. Yeah.
I want them to go, oh, yeah, I can tell that
sure.
Aubrey did a good job with them. Again, that's a pride thing. But,
Right.
at this point, if I'm going to put the time into training them, I want them to feel like they're walking away with valuable skills.
Right. Wow. Good. So if they want to contact you, can you maybe the phone number out there? Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah. So the name of the company is Lifetime Insurance Agency, and we serve all of North and South Carolina, but we are based in Columbia, South Carolina. The agency phone number is 803-781-9173. We are Lifetime Agency on all the socials, and the agency address is lifetimeinsuranceagency.com. We're easy to find. So please feel free to reach out.
Good, yeah.
And we haven't really touched on this, but we host a podcast as well called the Carolina Business Leadership Show. So please feel free to pop over onto Spotify or Apple Podcast and give us a listen on that as well.
Sure. Well, Aubrey, thank you for joining me on the Smart Office podcast. I really appreciate the work you're doing to help families and businesses make better insurance decisions.